Sup, nerds? I'm Aaron,
I'm Tom.
and today we are taking a look at Scoville.
Yeah! We're taking a look at Scoville! Scoville! Oh my god, Scoville!
So, what kind of game is this? How would you explain this game to someone if they're, a new gamer? Because I see this as a game that, especially, I saw it a few years back. It's bright and colorful. There's lots of cool art. It kind of draws newbies into the,
it's kind of cartoony. Yeah.
So how would you explain it to someone?
Well, so how I would explain it to someone is it's kind of a mid to maybe slightly above mid-level Euro game. So it's kind of a little bit of crunchy math involved. It's, you're trying to be faster and better than the other person and, gain points in a faster and more efficient way.
Yeah, you're definitely, racing, like you say. You're, trying to plant these peppers and figure it out by okay, if I go here and here and here, I'll get these peppers and I can do, I can sell them or I can make these recipes. And it's very Euro-y.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can't block other people though. So it's not like those Euro games that are like a solitaire game where you don't even really interact. You can, the plant peppers that you plant, other people can prosper from them, and you can move around to block other people.
Absolutely. There's definitely a lot of saltiness in this game where you're like, okay, I'm getting some really good combinations over here, and then somebody's like, oh, I'm going to plant this little brown pepper there, so now if you walk next to that, you're
not going to get
it's
anything.
very fruitless. You're just getting more brown peppers, and you're like, I don't need these. Or, you're completely blocking it off and getting nothing, and you're like, okay.
And this game actually has a bit of a funny story for us, and you may even be thinking this game's a little bit older now. It was 2 or 3 years ago, but this was just recently sort of gifted to us because somebody really thought that we needed to try this game out. But we actually did. Aaron and I, we played it once 2 years ago at our local game store. We played the store copy, and it was just a 2-player game. And actually, I didn't like it afterwards, and it was because
He
did kick his butt. Also, at the time, sitting down to it, I'd said this is a medium level. I was like, this is the most Euro game I've ever played. And I was like, I'm never gonna play Euro games. I'm not into that. Give me Descent
Dice
or Magic.
rolling and
war games or something.
Ameritrash.
I'm Ameritrash. Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, oh, Euro game. Ugh. And I saw the chart here, this bad boy, and I was looking at that, and I was like, ah. But it's funny because as we all grow, our tastes change and stuff. So I was getting more into Euros recently, and when we sat down to play this, I was looking at the rules, because I was like, I kind of remember how to play it. I mean, it was 2 years ago. I watched the Rodney Smith to how to play it, and I was like, oh, I can play this no problem.
Yeah, this is very simple, actually.
Yeah, it was actually really easy.
Other Euro games, it's straightforward, the steps you take. It's just, if you're trying to maximize your points, you can get kind of bogged down and okay, what do I need to do? How much is it worth spending to go first? Mm-hmm. Do I actually want to plant first, or do I want to harvest first? There's a lot of
it can get brain burny at times for specific strategies on turns, but it's not just overall. Again, this chart is really deceiving because ultimately you only need half of this, right? Because it's just the same. I guess you cut it off that way.
It's kind of mirrored.
Yeah, it's mirrored, right? So it really isn't as complex as anyone would think, and people who think Lisboa and Anachrony are easy would scoff at saying that this one's even any difficult
at all. This is a child's game.
Yeah, I eat games like this for breakfast.
I think one of the cleanest things about this game that after you've played it a couple times, you could actually throw away the rulebook and still be able to set this game up, because on the board they've printed, depending on the amount of players you're playing with, how many of the different, if you need the certain
market cards.
Yes, the market cards or the recipes, or for the auction cards up here. Mm-hmm. It's actually printed on the board, and it's just it's got it's not very bold and sticking out, but it's there. And okay, you take away one of these if you're playing a 2 or 3 player game, you don't need to have all the plaques out there. So I think that's just very it looks good on the board. It's not it's just god awful,
mm-hmm. It's really it's faded in there.
And even I'd like to put these the afternoon inventory on this little table, okay, that's coming up later. It just kind of works out. And if you're not playing a 6-player game, you can kind of just store these cards right here on the board as well. I haven't played a 6-player game yet. Yeah, and I can imagine it'd just be so much hecticness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be absolute chaos. Yeah, two players was really salty, but 4 and 5 is it's just the magic number for games. I've said that before. 4 and 5 people is just so perfect. Anytime like people are coming over to play games and like a sixth person is like, "Hey, can I join?" I almost want to be like,
Oh, there's not many games that
"Oh yeah."
and
Yeah,
most
I know,
most
right?
games that support them in amount of players, like they just drag on.
So
Yeah.
and we can't comment on that. This one
Yeah.
does go up to 6. So in that specific scenario, someone's like, "Oh, can I join?" Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Scoville is an option, just like Seven Wonders, and I think that's it. You know, now there's more Cosmic Encounter. Why are we just gonna list all of them?
The ultimate goal is to get the most heat points, or Scoville points, or whatever they call it in this game, and I like that there's a ton of ways to get them. You can be like the first one to plant peppers, you can get them. If you just sell your peppers to the market, you can get points. If you actually save up enough, you got to get a wide variety, but if you save up enough and make an awesome recipe, you can get points. And then you get these like tokens at the beginning of the game that give you like a special power, but if you save them to the end, you get points. So there's just like points all around. And then of course the money from selling things is worth money, or worth points as well.
And I think money is really only points at the end of the game and bidding for turn order, which admittedly is really important. Going first or going last are two really important spots to be at. But if you either think that you're not going to win, you know what I mean? There's sometimes when you can be like, well, I think this guy has a lot of money, he's going to bid a lot of money, so I'm just going to hold on to him. You could just be selling peppers and just slowly scraping points up. Like I was selling peppers either just for cash or for these market cards or whatever, and those had points on them. And while the guy who won the game, he was doing like big swings and getting like the 24-point recipes, he only beat me by like 7 points. Because while he was saving up and saving up and saving up, I was slowly gathering points.
Yeah, just like a little point over here, point over here, just picking up points.
Yeah, and when I say like 7 points, that he had like 70 and I had like 63. So that isn't a huge margin, respectively. And I think that shows that it's a really well balanced game. There's not just going to be one runaway leader. And you may think there's a runaway leader, and then everybody can try and attack them and try and block them and stuff, but it's not an issue with the game at all.
Yeah, there's definitely been a couple games where I've got those big point ones and actually lost because somebody would just go for like the mid-range points and actually like they would save these these 4-point things. They're like, I'm not going to plant an extra pepper. They're like, I'm not going to take that extra step. Like I would be like, oh, I'm going to burn that extra step because it's get me an extra pepper. I'm going to use the extra pepper to get that big recipe done. And I was just like, you've got to think out your options, and that's where it can slow down. If you want to just play quick, you might lose.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, so while as a whole, my opinion of how complex this game is on the scale of of Euros, it's still low now. There are still brain burner moments where you're sitting there, and especially because you'll be looking at the chart, and the chart does make a lot of sense, but every once in a while you'll be like, wait a minute, does that make a white or does that make a black? Okay, that makes a black. Okay, so if I move here, I'll get a white, and then I'll move there, I'll get a black. Wait, what did I... Hang on, where am I again? Like, it's a couple of things to try and keep in mind when you're planning out your turn, because you have to decide, like, 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 2, 3, no, but that'll complete this, 1, 2, 3, maybe, 1, 2, 3, 4, I could, so there is a little bit of analysis paralysis in this. Again, probably still for people who aren't really, really used to these kind of games. People who are super used to Euros will probably be able to see a slightly more dominant strategy a little bit easier, but that is probably one of the few negatives that I have about this game, is that it's just somewhat prone to AP.
Time for a Polar Pop break.
Yeah, it's your girl Babs.
So I really love the quality in this game. Like these peppers are awesome. Like the different tier of the peppers, they actually get taller and taller. So you got like the low level, the mid level, and then the higher level peppers. So like you can actually like look at the board and see which ones are the starter peppers and so on. I kind of wish. I haven't had this, problem yet, but like if I'm gonna have to play a 6-player game, I feel like we're gonna start running out of peppers, and they actually included these multipliers. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna use this instead of having 3 yellow peppers. I wish there was just more peppers. Like if there's a pepper pack that you could get and just
yeah. Not necessarily saying they need to have more peppers in the base game, because I'm not certain, but I think that would probably drive the price up. But yeah, I would totally buy a pepper pack. $5. If it was between $5 and $8, I would do it. More money for you guys. Do it. Make that happen. Now, I had said it being prone to AP is one of the very few negatives I have about it. I think the other negative, I would agree with you that I do kind of wish that there either was more or was a way to get more of those peppers. And I really, really like the fact that the peppers snap in here.
Mhm.
You know, these aren't just placing. If it was just placing there, they would get knocked up
Oh, yeah.
all over the place.
Especially you're moving these guys or the farmers around. Oh, I just knocked that pepper over.
Yeah,
but
you
like
did.
you wouldn't knock over like tons of peppers. Like you'd have to be super rough.
And even when you knock them over, they don't you don't lose their place. It still like makes sense. But some of these actually are kind of tight.
Yeah.
So I could foresee that if you play this game a lot, that this, it will wear out a little bit.
I think that store copy we played was a little looser. Like I don't know if it's been played more or if the peppers they're cut a little different. Either way,
okay,
it's great.
So for this copy, it's a little bit tight. So I guess maybe that's not a problem with all of them. So I don't know. Point redacted.
So overall, I really, really enjoy Scoville. I would put this as an intro game almost for people that have played a couple of the other intro games like Ticket to Ride and
so Catan,
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
So it'd be like a level 2.
Yes,
yeah.
Like if somebody has played a couple games and they're not like games are super hard. Like if they're interested in playing games, like this is something you want to show them because it's not super complex in teaching. It's just, the strategy can be a little complex, but it's nothing that, you can't, just, buy a little time and just let them, figure out their moves and let them watch you kick their butts,
Yeah, definitely don't make them feel pressured if they're like, oh man, this is not, be like, it's okay, bro. Take your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, they'll get it eventually.
Yeah. And one of my, points back when I said that there's points everywhere on the board, I love that in games. And, most Euro games do have that, but it's no exception. Like there's, points over here, points over there, points over there, points for saving your money, points for, keeping these things. Like, it's awesome.
The fact that my opinion for this game could change so much is a real surprise for me. And it does kind of give me a little bit of a life lesson of, don't judge a book by its cover type of thing. And don't, your first impressions while that was my first impression of this game, it was accurate for where I was, in my, gaming career or what have you, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was too complicated for me at that time. And this also wasn't the type of game I really was interested in playing at that time. So if you do meet somebody who only plays role-playing games or Magic or something, then yeah, this might have that same effect on them. But if they are liking Alhambra, Catan, Ticket to Ride, the more, and they want to try a more Euro, if they liked Lords of Waterdeep or something, this is definitely no more complicated than that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is definitely, and the thing is I enjoyed it so much. I can't think of another game, maybe like Seven Wonders, there's another Euro-style game, where the very first time I played it, I was like, I don't think I like this. I was like, nope. No thanks, don't need to have it on my shelf. And now I'm like, well, this is quite awesome, and I am thoroughly itching to play it again. Speaking of itching, my nose. Scratch. And the only few negatives I had were kind of component-wise, and the one, it could be prone to some analysis paralysis, which isn't even an issue. It's a much bigger issue in other games. Again, I am kind of blown away by how much, not just how much I like it, but by how much I liked this compared to the first time I sat down. Which again, just goes to show you that people change, your opinions change, and if you didn't like Scoville the first time you played it, you might be wrong too.
And if you haven't played Scoville, you should get yourself a copy. There's a link in the description below.
And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. Finger guns! Yeah!
And if you like this video, like it,
and then hit the bell and do all this stuff. There's so many things you can do. We're planting peppers.